It wasn't pretty. It wasn't perfect, but it sure wasn't comfortable. But the 49ers closed out the Dallas Cowboys. They get the win, and they go into the bye with plenty left to play for. We'll talk about all of it on today's Instant Reaction Podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Standard Instant Reaction Podcast on the Fans First Sports Network. I am Rob Stats Guerrera here with you after a stressful 49ers victory at home against the Dallas Cowboys. It was dicey at the end, but they get the win 30-24. They even their record at 4-4. They go into the bye week looking up with an NFC win right in the thick of it in the NFC West, with Christian McCaffrey possibly coming back after the bye week. I see a lot of people in here, upset. We're still not good, blah, blah, blah. You won. And what did I say about this season as I open up a celebratory adult beverage? Survive and advance. That's what we're doing. Survive and advance. I have no idea what happened to the defense the last 2-3 drives of the game. They just forgot to cover CeeDee Lamb. Apparently, he never had easier touchdowns in his life. But you know what? Tough. Good enough to get the win. They buckled down when they had to. Dallas had the ball back with the ball in Dak Prescott's hands with a chance to go win the game. And instead, the defense got a stop that, let's be honest, they have not gotten in basically a year, it feels like. So credit to the 49ers defense on that one. They made the plays when they had to make it. Dallas didn't gain a single yard on that possession. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Let's get to as many of your comments as we can. Levin should be joining us shortly. I don't know where he is. Let's see. Alejandro Sandoval, YouTube channel member for a month. Thank you, Alejandro. Says, I feel bad for Nick Bosa. The man needs help. He was getting mauled at certain points in this game. At the end of the game, just mauled. No flag. What a shock. Antonio, another YouTube channel member, says, holy bleep, that scared me. A win is a win. Bucks are injured. We own Seattle. They could turn this around fast. Seattle got their doors blown off today by Buffalo, so thank you, Buffalo Bills. Warlock says, I don't care how much you gaslight your audience by saying the 49ers are back. They will get injured players back. Still the best team in the NFC. This team is not a Super Bowl team. Trade Deebo Samuel. Deebo got hurt again at the end of this game with a rib injury, so we'll have to see. Now, he does have the extra week off, thank God, to recover. Deebo looked good. In fact, Deebo would have looked great if they didn't have a holding call, which we'll get to that. But yes, Deebo looked good in the game, but we don't know the severity of the injury. I'm sure Kyle will be talking about it in the post-game press conference. Deebo had a 66-yard touchdown called back in the game. Levin Black is here. Hey, Levin, show started 5 minutes ago. Where the hell are you?
I had to get downstairs, and my dog decided to be a jerk.
Don't blame your dog. Dogs are good boys and girls. Come on.
Not always. Did you want me to come on with my dog barking at an owl outside?
No, I did not. Antonio gifted 5 gold standard podcast memberships. Thank you, Antonio. Appreciate that.
First things first.
Cheers, baby. You know it.
And recognize the glass?
Oh, that's the glass I got you? Good. This game drove us to drink. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Holy
I'm
What happened to the defense at the end of the game? Dallas was just like, oh, let's throw it to 88. Boom, boom, boom. Touchdown. Wide open, 2 busted coverages.
Well, he was wide open all game. I never understood what they were doing against CeeDee Lamb. I started counting, and then I eventually lost count because I missed one. But I was posting it on Twitter, counting how many times CeeDee Lamb went uncovered by a DB, meaning a linebacker was on him. They kept lining up CeeDee Lamb in the slot and coming across the middle. And when they did that, the Niners were dropping the DB out into a zone, leaving CeeDee Lamb to come across the field with either Campbell or Warner trying to pick him up. Warner can't even win that matchup. What the hell are you doing? There should be a DB assigned to him every play.
Put Lenore on him, man. Lenore had a pick in this game. Great catch along the side. Lenore is so freaking good, although he did almost give up a deep ball to Turbin at the end, but he was still in good position. Forking Crazy says Guerrero had his breakout game. Think our rookie class is the best in years. All the rookies showed out. Pearsall had a 39-yard run, and this is the thing I want to get to. And we'll get to the super chats, I promise. Everything you wanted to see from the 49ers offense, you saw in this game. They ran the ball. They did screen passes. They did end arounds. They were hitting guys with room to run after the catch. All the stuff that you wanted to see from the 49ers, you saw in this game. And they would have put up more points in the first half. They had 3 crippling holding penalties in the first half that completely short-circuited all promising drives. But if you're the Kyle can't coach, Kyle's not good, whatever, like they kicked ass in this game.
They kicked ass in the second half. They showed up to one half of this game, and that's, to me, the frustrating part. They won, so I'm happy. But we're going to be dissecting this all bye week, and that's my big takeaway from this game. That this team can come out and play one half to their ability and absolutely obliterate the opponent. If they showed up like that all game long, they would beat everybody. That's the problem. That's what's so frustrating about this team in particular this year. Like, you are so good and you are making so many mental mistakes. The holding calls, the drops, Deebo, you can argue one of them, but then the screen pass is unarguable. There's just so many mistakes this team is making, and I don't get it. And then you look at the end of this game. What did they do? We know exactly what they did because they've already talked about it multiple times. That they relax when they get up and they think that they can coast to victory and they need to stay on it. That's what they said last time. They coasted at the end of this game, and then the defense had to wake up, and thankfully they were able to wake up again to save the day. But the entire team shut down in that fourth quarter.
They kicked a field goal to go up 30-17. Dallas scores the touchdown. You're like, oh, all right, come on. And then they go right down the field. But I felt like, they get 1st and 10 at the Dallas 26-yard line. And then what happens? Penalty. Illegal formation makes it 1st and 15. They go run, Purdy incompletion, and then kick the field goal. And then they're like, all right, that was good. But then Dallas scores immediately. 4 plays, 70 yards, 53 seconds. And all of a sudden it was butt clench time.
Yeah, pretty much. It's it's so hard because last year, we had so many games where we came in and it was just all positives. Team dominated. All positives. This year, there hasn't been a single win where you come in and you're like, hey, I feel great. Because every game that they've won has been, hey, we're going to almost give it up at the end and then survive. So it's like you come in to this post game and you're like, I feel like crap right now, yet they won and I shouldn't.
Not me. I don't feel like crap. All I wanted was a win. If they lost this game, you said it. The bye week would have been a funeral procession. So I'll take the win by hook or by crook. I don't care. Andre, YouTube channel member, thank you for the super chat, says almost blew it. Defense played well, but still constantly got torched by every team's number 1 receiver. Brock showed he's another notch above Dak. The offense can't wait so long to get going. Time to get healthy. The offense in the third quarter, that was the best quarter they played all season, was the third quarter.
Oh, yeah.
They came out, they get the ball back to start the second half. 5 plays, 60 yards, go right down the field. George Kittle is catching passes all over the place, rumbling down the field. And by the way, congratulations to George Kittle, who is now 3rd all time in 49ers history in receiving yards. And he's only the 5th 49er ever to have 500 catches. Congratulations, George Kittle. He was phenomenal in this game, had a touchdown catch as well. Some of the officiating was a little dodgy, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I really don't want to see Vinovich do another Niners game. I think it's pretty clear he has some kind of, I don't want to necessarily go bias, but he sees things in a way that is not positive for the 49ers. Because every time he does a game for the 49ers come out with feeling like that, the refs called it differently for them than the other team. He should not be doing any more Niner games.
Speaker, YouTube channel member, says no such thing as an ugly win. Just ask Vince Lombardi. Mr. J Fizz gifting 10 Gold Standard Podcast Network memberships. Thank you very much. Warlock says the Niners remind me of my Cleveland Guardians. from the 90s. Great players who can't win at all. Oh, man, those Cleveland teams were disgustingly good. The lineups they had, Alomar, Lofton, Justice, Hershiser, Manny Ramirez as well. Albert Bell was it. Sorry, you got me talking baseball. I'm all fired up. Let's get back to the 49ers win. So they scored.
Right. I was going to say, I have a comment here. It's not super chat, so I want to throw it up quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know we're just going to be having super chats, but Blanton125 says Brock finally decided to check it down to the running back. I did notice that, and that's a great point to be made, that Brock in the third quarter did that. I do find it interesting that he started doing that when Guerrero was in more. They talked about how JP Mason is a much better receiver, and that's what he worked on this offseason. And it does, at least from what I've seen on tape this year, seems like he's not a great route runner, but he catches the ball well. So it is interesting that they were having Guerrero go out and just sit 5 yards down the field, center of the field, so that Brock had a dump off if he needed it. And that was not only giving him that dump off some of the time, but it affected the defense to where Brock was able to be scrambling to the sidelines a lot more because it kept the linebackers stuck in the center of the field.
Brock had some excellent runs. By the way, who on this show said that Brock was going to check it down this game? Who said that Brock was going to get back to that? Oh, let's say, me. That's right. I said it, damn it. And I was right. And I'm not.
Were you right about Guerrero? Because you've kind of crapped on him all year.
Yeah, I did not think that Guerrero had been good. He was okay today. Played solid in relief of Jordan. We still don't know what the Jordan Mason injury is, do we?
They said shoulder. So I think it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
But no, Guerrero this week, I had the thought in the second half that with the way he's playing, it should be a split carry between those two if Christian McCaffrey doesn't return. Because I feel like JP started out well, and the last 4 weeks, Mason has not been the same. I feel like he's got tired legs because he talked about it early in the season that he's not used to all those carries and he was feeling tired by the end of the game. I think he's ready for a bye week. His legs are tired. So I want to see Guerrero mixed it in with him more.
Wedge Antilles says, Rob, I took that Brock Purdy rushing yards bet too. Yeah, we did pretty good this week on the bets. I mean, we would have hit the Deebo anytime touchdown bet if they didn't call it back. I was furious that didn't happen. Okay, so I wanted to go back to those drives in the second half because that's where the Niners put some distance. It was a big deal, right? Kyle always likes to lap people around the halftime. Well, the 49ers don't get a fair catch interference penalty that should have been given them 15 more yards. They end up getting no points before the half. But after halftime, they go touchdown, then they get the Lenore pick, and then they score the touchdown again. And I thought it was so critical that they cashed in on that interception with an actual touchdown, not a stupid field goal, with an actual touchdown. And I thought the big play was the Brock Purdy scramble on 3rd and 3 from the Cowboys 13-yard line. He has done it so many times this year for the 49ers, scrambling, getting the first down. And Kyle sort of loses his mind after that, right? Because he goes Deebo end around for 4. Then he gives a handoff to Kyle Juszczyk in the red zone, which no, Kyle, no more handoffs to you. No more touch.
Anything juice.
Yeah.
It's not working.
And then Purdy throws it to Kittle on the questionable non-pick play. They threw the flag, and then they waved it off. Kittle gets the touchdown.
It's not questionable. Conley literally didn't even raise his arms. He is running a route there. He never cuts. He never changes from his original trajectory. That is 100%. He's running a route, and the DB ran into him.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but nonetheless, it went the Niners' way.
I know a lot about this growing up in Colts land because they mastered the art of doing legal pick plays. And it's, you have two receivers in the red zone cross right next to each other, but as long as they start their routes and they don't change trajectories at the last second to get the DB and they don't raise their arms in a blocking, then it's 100% legal.
For what it's worth, Terry McCauley, the rules analyst, said it was the right call to not call the penalty. Bazzyman says, hate to say it, not really, but I told you Guerrero gets better with more game reps. I like that you added the not really. Because you know what? You could have just played it humble, but you didn't. You went in you twisted the knife a little bit. I like it. Chris Waddell says, happy we won. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting close to think Brock Purdy ain't him. Definitely not a $55+ million quarterback for sure. Need to look at the draft hard this offseason. There was a report before the game. It was like, maybe the Niners will make Brock play it out next year. He did not start the first half particularly sharp, Levin. I thought he was throwing behind people again. He obviously threw the ball behind Deebo on that 4th down play. where Deebo could have run for a long time. I love that Kyle went for it there too. Yay, Kyle. He was not his sharpest self in the first half, and he came out like a house of fire in the third quarter.
Purdy seems to have found his mojo in the second half. If he can continue that, then he's going to get paid. The guy we saw in the first half was the guy that we saw in the game the week prior, and it's not a good quarterback. It's a worse than Jimmy Garoppolo quarterback. So I don't know what that was, but he seems to have found his mojo in the second half. But he needs to pick it up. Like I put it out at halftime that I feel like he's regressed, and then suddenly he bounced back to form in the second half. The second half was elite level quarterbacking. But the one thing that scares me, and I want to see somebody ask it this week in the press conference, all his throws past like 15 yards, they're all short. Some of them are severely short. Some of them are inaccurate as well. But even the ones that are completed, the wide receivers are waiting. They're having to stop and wait and catch the ball, not get it on the ask. Is his arm feeling tired? Is your elbow bothering you at all? To me, it looks like a quarterback that's trying to push through it, that his arm is tired. I don't know necessarily that his elbow is hurting. I don't know, but he looks like a quarterback that doesn't quite have it. So he's having to stress and try harder to get the same zip on the ball. And that's throwing off his accuracy. And it's also making it hard to get the deep throws.
And have you noticed sometimes he shakes his arm out too? After throws, he'll like shake his arm out.
He's kind of done that. He did that as a rookie too, though.
Yeah, I want to know what's up. Ask both. Ask Kyle and Brock. I'd be interested in that. Gabe Garoni, YouTube channel member for 14 months. Thank you, Gabe. I really appreciate that. Says, in Kittle we trust. Pearsall continues to impress. Yeah, Pearsall, I feel like, has looked better and better every week. Early on in the game, he was involved. Now, he only ended the day with 4 catches for 38 yards, but he also had the 39-yard run. You know, like he missed out on basically all of the preseason. So for not having that, I feel encouraged by what we've seen from Pearsall.
Yeah, you can see the potential there. For me, it definitely looked more like a Deebo replacement than an Ayuk replacement. I know you had some people that said, "Oh, this is definitely a Deebo replacement." But then I think it was more when he had a little bit of time in training camp. You saw people saying, "Hey, he's hitting these intermediate. Maybe he's really an Ayuk." He looked like the Deebo guy, especially on that end around. He looks to me like the replacement for Deebo. He was running a lot of stuff over the middle, and he got that end around. So you saw the potential there. You saw somebody that could actually be a weapon. And put it this way, he started this game, and he held his own.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Kittle is so clutch for this team. 6 catches for 128 yards for George Kittle and a touchdown. Absolutely making plays left, right, and center. And as I said earlier, the 5th 49er ever with 500 catches, and he is 3rd all-time in receiving yards for this team. It's Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, George Kittle. That is pretty damn impressive. Again, considering they don't throw him the football.
Yeah, he's very, very, very likely to end up second in the receptions there. He needs 92 to pass T.O., and that's the rest of this year and next year, most likely. Even if he falls off some next year, he's somebody that I don't think he's going to finish his career somewhere else unless it's like 1 year at age 37 he finishes his career somewhere else. I think he's here for at least another 3-4 years, and that means he's going to pass T.O. in receptions. He might even get to second in receiving yards. I would assume that's T.O., but I don't know exactly where T.O. is at. If he has 592 receiving yards,
T.O. is second all-time in receiving yards.
I'm talking about with the 49ers, not career.
I was going to say.
You just posted the career receptions with the 49ers, not their total careers. 592 for T.O.
Like, what are you talking about? I got nervous there.
But T.O. had 592 yards, receptions, so I'm guessing he's somewhere. I think I have the number 7,700 stuck in my head, but I'm not exactly sure where he was for receiving yards with the 49ers. But Kittle might get that as well, which means he'd be second all time in both.
Pretty damn impressive, considering, again, he's a friggin' tight end. John Bean says, Rob, almost all your non-Mason bets hit. Things look so bad at the half, I had to change to my old school Ronnie Lodgers. Well, thank you, John. John secured the victory for the 49ers. Thank you, John. That probably did just enough at the end. That's why the Cowboys didn't gain any yards in that last possession. John, Thank you for your service. And don't listen 11. That absolutely helps. I will never not believe it. Frank Tavares, YouTube channel member, says, I was surrounded by Cowboys fans in my house. I live in Fort Worth, by the way. LOL, a win is a win is a win. And then it got close at the end and you pulled it out. So just when they thought they were going to get it, you pulled it out at the end. That's got to feel extra sweet, Frank.
Yeah, that's it's always I I used to like watching games with the enemy. I don't anymore because it's like it just makes the losses worse. Just let me watch it at home by myself.
4King Crazy, YouTube channel member, says Juice and Ward can be cut by the end of the season. They're done. Time for the youngsters. Juice, man. I mean, they ran a sweet end around with Deebo in the red zone, and it was Juice came in motion and then ended up as the lead blocker. And it was basically like there was a couple of Cowboys there and Juice and Deebo. And my thought was, as long as Juice gets his mitts on somebody, nobody's stopping Deebo before he gets the last 3 yards at the goal line. And Juice just, I don't know if he fell, slipped, or just got punked, but he basically went down and the play ended up dying. I've made my feelings on Kyle Juszczyk known. I'll just leave it at that. They won the game, but yeah, he could pick it up a little bit for sure.
He's done. He needs to go. It's not just that he's mediocre amongst the fullbacks that actually play in the NFL now, but it's also the fact that Kyle thinks he's not. 2 screen passes in the red zone to Juice this season, and now the run. Like, and it wasn't a run from 1 or 2 yards from the end zone. It was a run that had like 6 yards until the first down. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. But like even PFF, I noticed it and made a mental note. He's rated as 3rd out of 7 fullbacks that have played enough to get ratings this year. Like he's not even a top fullback anymore.
Interesting. Who could have predicted such a thing? Joe says Lenore keeps showing up. Pay that man his money. Pay that man his money. Hashtag Rounders. Hashtag Go Ducks. You're right, Joe. Lenore is good, man. And every game, I feel like he shows up and does something awesome. I'm on the pay Lenore bandwagon, 100%.
Lenore gets the bag. Ward gets the curb.
Ward gets the case.
Yeah,
they both get bags. One's filled with money. One's filled with a bus ticket out of town.
Yeah. It's clear. Lenore is the future. He is a lockdown corner.
And Green's looking good.
He's also great for the mojo, energy, whatever you want to call it. He's very good at that too. I wish sometimes he shut his mouth a little bit in midweek stuff.
After you lose, shut your mouth. But I'll say this, we're headed into the bye week. They're 4-4 right now. You're right in the thick of it in the division. And I feel like we have finally gotten to the point now. D Winners had a concussion in this game, so we have to keep an eye on that. But I feel like we're finally getting to the point where everyone acknowledges D Winners is better than Devondre Campbell. Bernardo Green is better than Isaac Yiadom. And so, like, those guys are stepping into more prominent roles. Like, it took them 8 games to figure it out, but it feels like we're all sort of on the same page now, doesn't it?
Took 8 games for them to admit it.
Well, yeah. We were
wrong. Let's not be stubborn and play these guys for 7-8 weeks. We'll see. How they come out of the bye will determine where I'm at, because we saw a glimpse for about a quarter and a half. We saw the 49ers that I recognized from the past couple of years. We saw that 49ers team that's better than any other team. We've been saying that for years now. When the 49ers are at their best, they're better than anybody else. They are the most talented team in the league. The problem is this year, that might be the first quarter and a half that we've seen them at their best.
I don't think that's true anymore. I think the Lions at their best, I think the Ravens at their best are better than the 49ers at this year, are better than the 49ers at
the Ravens. I will give you an argument because Derrick Henry changes them.
Even though they lost today to the Browns. So who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Greg S says
Lions, I don't give you.
Greg S says they put up 50 today.
Good for them.
Greg says, do we know when Christian McCaffrey's coming back in Greenlaw? CMC should be back after the bye. There was a report that the Niners are going to have a bonus practice, and he's going to participate in that practice. But again, it's the kind of thing that could act up at any moment. So he's really play to play, but that's the plan right now. We'll see. Greenlaw, I think, might be a little longer. We'll have to wait and see on him. but things are as good as they can be for the Niners going into the bye week. Mr. J. Fizz says, I'm curious, isn't kneeling the ball while part of your foot is either in the end zone or on the goal line considered a safety? Yeah, there was a point, and I said this before halftime, where the Niners had pinned the Cowboys deep, and Dallas wanted to kneel it out to end the half, but they were on the 2-yard line, so Dak couldn't really go backwards. I would have tried to blow him up on the play, not to be a jerk, but just because he had nowhere to go and you might get a safety out of it. The Niners didn't do it, but I would have tried. Maybe you push, even if you push him back into the, you push the center and he pushes Dak backwards, he can't kneel because it would be a safety.
Yeah, I guess I kind of tuned out at that point because it was hitting halftime
and we were miserable.
I was going to warm up food. I saw that they were going to kneel and I was like, all right, it's halftime. And I headed for the kitchen.
Not that Stephen A, YouTube channel member, says, first, that block, by the way, that's exactly something the real Stephen A. Smith would say if he wanted to throw us off the scent. But anyway, first, the block by Banks on third before the Cowboys took a timeout at the 6:35 mark in the second quarter was trash. Second, is anyone else surprised Bell caught that ball? He downed it to 2. Oh, on a punt, yeah. I'm not going to get on Aaron Banks because he recovered Brock Purdy's fumble. Second time this year that Brock Purdy has fumbled a football without making contact with a defender.
Yeah, no pump fakes, Brock. Your hands are too small.
He's always wiping his hands off on the towel too. I don't know if he's
because he has hands that are like literally just big enough. They say, I think it's 9 1/4 inches is like the minimum hand length you can have to not have major problems in the NFL holding on to the ball.
Brock is 9.25 inches.
Exactly.
For hand size. Hand size. 9.25 inches. Hand size. Hink Dad says, give Anders Carlson some love. #mercenary. You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
He made a 55-yarder in the game. He made a couple of 41-yarders. Was it a 55-yarder or a 50-yarder? I could be wrong. 50. Sorry. 50-yarder.
Yeah.
3 for 3, made all his extra points. He was good in this game, and they needed every bit of it.
He's somebody that whenever I got Mason stuck in my head. Sorry.
Guerrero?
No,
Carlson?
Kicker. No, the injured one.
Moody.
Thank you. Whenever Moody is healthy, Carlson will be released, I'm sure. I don't think he lasts long. There are teams in the NFL with worse kickers than him.
Yeah, he'll get a shot for sure. Shanahan. Oh, wait. Renardo Green got hurt, apparently. Shanahan said it was an ankle injury for Renardo Green at the end of the game. I didn't see that.
Deebo did get hurt.
Yeah, I talked about that with the ribs. I didn't see that about Renardo Green. That stinks. So, well, at least he's got the bye week, but I hope he's okay.
We'll have to see about that. Deebo is, I don't know where you're at, but he's not a difference maker anymore.
Well, he had a 66-yard touchdown called back. That would have been a huge play in the game. That wasn't his fault.
No, but he also had a drop, and we're not seeing him take anything and turn it from, oh, it's 5 yards and there's 4 defenders there. Oh, wow. He broke a tackle and avoided 3 others. Now he's in the open. We haven't seen a single play like that this year.
He was in the hospital on Monday, man. Give him a little bit of a break.
I said this year, not recent weeks.
Carlo says, we're lucky McCarthy is a moron and chose to receive the opening kickoff. Gave us the ball after halftime, plus Dak stinks. Should have been 4 interceptions. Yeah, Warner had
Dak was off.
Warner had one that he threw right to him that if Warner didn't get, Lenore was going to get. Yeah. Dak was he's awful against the 49ers for sure.
No, he's been bad this year. And they talked about it. Collinsworth flat said they broke it down a couple different times. The Dak does not look like the Dak that they paid, and they said that they went into the bye week because they had noticed Dak's footwork was messed up, and they tried to fix it. Dak is off, and probably it has a lot to do with footwork, but he's also he's not seeing the field like that. That throw you talked about, he literally it's CeeDee Lamb on an in route. I'm going to throw it. It's like you got 2 defenders sitting on that route because it's such a popular route for them.
And Collinsworth was like, I don't know what he was looking at on that play. Yeah. Fox Do a Barrel Rollful says Brock's hands are the same size as Patrick Mahomes. I don't really want to Google any more measurements on football players right now. I'll take your word for it. There was another comment that I liked that I wanted to get to. Yes. Twister Chavez says, do you think the Niners will make some big trades before the deadline? This win keeps all that stuff alive. If they had lost, I don't think there was a chance that they would be buyers. I don't know that they will be buyers, but they're definitely not going to be sellers because they won this game. So the selling is not happening.
Yeah, selling's not happening. As I said last week, that if they made it to 4-4, I could see them making some low end buys for depth because like they have no defensive line depth whatsoever. So I could see them going out and trading like a 5th or a 6th, maybe even a 7th round pick just to get somebody that they know can at least play 10, 15 downs there. And if an injury happens, step in. Get somebody that has veteran experience, not a reclamation project.
We got the post-game injury report. Jordan Mason shoulder, D Winters concussion, Deebo Samuel ribs, Renardo Green ankle. None of them returned to the game after their injuries. Shanahan indicated that Mason could have come back into the game if needed. I don't buy any of that. Like, we know with the 49ers and injuries, especially the day of the game, like, who cares what he says? It doesn't matter. If he has a conference call tomorrow, that's far more important. We'll get the real story. But those are the guys at least to keep an eye on over the bye. Mason, Winters, Deebo Samuel, and Renardo Green. And obviously Christian McCaffrey would be the biggest one of those. There's almost 1,200 people watching right now. Thank you for checking us out. If this is your first time joining us, we really appreciate it. Give us a like and a subscribe. Give us one show. I promise you we will earn your time. Come back. We do a 5-minute 49ers in 5 news update every morning that keeps you up to date on injuries and press conference clips and everything you need to know about the team. Please, please, please join us. We're live on YouTube every single weekday. Mr. J.
And if you have only one day to give us, you're giving us one shot, make it Tuesday because that's the one show Rob's not on, please.
Yeah, you're just an asshole. Mr. J. Fizz says, please fire the bandwagon fans. No, you can be happy about the team right now. There's nothing wrong with that. Look, it was dicey today. It was dicey all year, but they got it done. And if we can't celebrate the wins together, what are we doing, man? Everybody, come on board. Come on board. Levin was a big wet blanket on Thursday. Levin was, a big jerk, and the season's over. They can't win the Super Bowl. Nothing. I haven't said one word about it. I haven't even brought it up today.
Don't bring it up because my opinion has not changed.
Here. Law of All says stats, Larry and Steph are the best. Notice who he didn't.
Rude.
I support that. So I want to know
that name should be Flaw of Awe because he's awed by the wrong things.
I want to know what happened with the defense. Like people are going to say, oh, Shanahan almost blew it again. It wasn't Shanahan's fault that CeeDee Lamb was uncovered for 2 straight or 3 possessions. Like
he was like I said, it was all game long. They just took them until desperation and be like, oh, let's just keep running CeeDee Lamb over the middle from the slot. And if we do that, he will have a safety trying to arrive late and a linebacker that gets toasted right away.
Jeff Deeney on Pro Football Focus says the play of the game for the Niners was Brock Purdy not fumbling after Guerrero whiffed in pass protection on the second to last drive. That's as hard as I've ever seen Brock Purdy get hit. Even harder than the Hassan Reddick in the NFC Championship game. Brock got absolutely drilled because Guerrero whiffed on his block. I thought that the 49ers did a great job, Levin, because the Cowboys adjusted over the bye. They came out with 6-man fronts, and they were like, we're going to stop you running the ball early. And the Niners did not really run the ball well early. I think Mason was averaging like 2.8 yards per carry. But then Kyle saw it and figured it out and was like, all right, you know what? If you're going to go to 6-man front, we're going to hit you with quick passes. We're going to beat your blitz, and we're just going to force you out of it. And we're going to earn the right to run by checking out of that. And they did. And I believe the play where Kittle ran for the 43 yards was an audible from Brock Purdy. By the way, he said, can before the play. That's an audible. It still counts. So just, let's acknowledge that.
I know what you're getting at there because there was a big argument this week on Twitter about what is an audible and what is not. But I will say I put a little more credit on Purdy for this game because he did do quite a few cans for one, and for two, like I did have problems in the first half with Kyle, like the run on 3rd and 10.
Brock audible to that. Brock can't do that.
I guess. I missed him saying can. I saw you respond saying that he canned it. But running on 3rd and I don't get it. Like, do you not trust your offensive line, and then he ran on a 3rd and 4 like 2 drives later.
That was I did not like that call. I wonder what look the Cowboys were in that would have scared you into thinking, yeah, you know what we got to do here? We got to run this. But yeah, that was not ideal early on. Edgar L, YouTube channel member, says now the secondary looks fine with Green. Shame got blocked by Brown and Demo. Shame got blocked by Brown.
Shame that he got blocked by Brown.
Oh, sorry.
Because Green was that 100% was on Jair Brown. Renardo Green has CeeDee Lamb in coverage, and he's running right next to him. Like he made his turn and didn't let CeeDee Lamb get by him. There's not, a foot between him and CeeDee Lamb, and Jair Brown takes him out. It's like, Jair, you got to get around him. He didn't run anywhere that should be unexpected. He turned and ran with the wide receiver straight down the field. Where are you going?
Yeah, that was not ideal. Fish and Chip says, it's not an audible. It's a predetermined play checkoff. Audible is a quarterback scrimmage call. It doesn't matter. An audible is you call a play, you get to the line of scrimmage, you change the play. It doesn't matter what you change it to. That's an audible. Like, I'm not having this debate. That is 100% an audible. Like, it just is. Sorry. I know
you're talking about technicality. Is it technically an audible? Yeah. But as another comment said after that one, that it is an audible to a play that Kyle has already said, this is okay. You can run this play. I approve it. So it's not Purdy saying, I see this play would be perfect, or let me change this hot route over here. That's the audibles I would like to see him. Okay. Hey, I know there's going to be a gap here. Let's change that wide receiver and change their route so that we hit that gap. That's the one progression I would like to see. But I feel like Kyle will never allow it. And that's why I have a problem with it. It's like, if your quarterback is a smart quarterback, and I do think Brock is there, allow him to change the route of a wide receiver.
Who cares if it works? Like, man, like they put up 30 points tonight. It was working fine. Like, just because Brock doesn't have access to the entire playbook on every play. Newsflash, people. That's not going to stop the negative plays, okay? The idea that, well, if Brock could just audible at the line of scrimmage, the 49ers would never have a bad play because he could get him out of everything, and there would never be a sack, and there would never be a blitzer.
Nah, see, that's where I'd rather. You're taking what somebody's saying and making it way past what they're actually saying. They're not saying it would get rid of all negative plays. They're saying the offense would improve if you allowed Purdy to grow as a quarterback.
But guess what? It might not, because he might screw up and make the wrong call. Every time there's a free rusher, somebody says, oh, yeah, if he could audible, well, that's because he can't audible. Right. Every time. So what they're saying is, if he could audible, that would never happen, which is untrue. I don't want to be cranky tonight. I want to be happy. Know.
But do you think Purdy is a well above average quarterback in terms of the mental aspect?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know at this point.
I think he definitely is on pre-snap. So give him the ability to change hot routes.
Somebody asked what I'm drinking. The answer is Stella, and I'm about to open up another one. Andre Garibay says, got to stop throwing a Deebo at the line. Those plays don't work anymore. Get Guerrero and Cowing involved in these end arounds and screen 2 home run hitters. Well, they got Pearso involved. That was good. Poor Jacob Cowing, man. He cannot see the field. Did he even play tonight, aside from punt returns?
I don't know. He got kicked in the knee and no penalty while doing a fair catch.
Yep. I saw that. Yeah, that should have been that. And then they didn't get the field goal on that drive. Those 15 yards would have put them in field goal range. Not saying, just saying. Edgar L said, I already read Edgar's super chat. Sorry, my bad. Sorry if I missed yours. Apologies. I'm trying to do 1,000 different things here. Jay Cruz 49er says, the people love a wet blanket and a guy that wears his shoes to bed. I don't wear my shoes to bed. I wear my shoes in the house. Okay. Let's not get crazy. I don't wear the shoes to bed. I don't wear the shoes in the shower. But I do wear the shoes in the house. Hey, you never know. Trust me, I got little kids. My daughter spilled something in the living room today that made the entire carpet wet. So that was fantastic. So yeah, I had the shoes on.
Yeah, that's. I wouldn't necessarily say it completely disgusts me, but it spreads germs. Put it that way. I grew up in a household, we didn't take our shoes off at the door. My shoes went off everywhere, but I didn't exactly grow up in a household that preached hygiene. Like, not that they said never shower, but they said go take a shower, and then they never checked to see if we actually did. And what does a 5-year-old do?
I don't know if this is real, but it made me laugh anyway, so I'm going to throw it on the screen. Grant just tweeted, Kyle Shanahan walked over to Brock Purdy at his locker, hugged him, talked to him for a couple of minutes, hugged him again, turned to me and said, Grant was that good. Now, I'm pretty sure he's kidding, but that's funny nonetheless.
No, I think he's probably being true on that.
So if you missed it last week, Grant made a big deal of the fact that Kyle was talking with Brock after the game at his locker, and he was maybe dressing him down, maybe not. I have no idea what they were saying. So that's what Grant's referring to with that tweet. But that made me laugh either way. I'll ask him on Wednesday if we'll probably find out before then, but that made me laugh.
It's good you're not going to a game this year, because if you did, I'd have to do the instant reaction by myself, and there'd be no Grant posts to throw up because I can't see them.
He blocked you?
Yeah, he blocked me.
Oh, man, that's brutal. Okay, Mr. Joe made it. Mr. Joe, I'm not going to read that. I'll just say that's not true. Let's just say that, okay? There are certain activities
That was the thought that I was trying not to blurt out when I said I'll just let that one go, because that was the joke I was wanting to make. But I'm trying to be a good boy today.
I don't know how to say this name. I apologize. Maida Mendoza. I apologize if I said your name wrong. Says, if the Niners lost today, I feel Stats would for sure agree with Levin on the audible take. I would not. I've never been. I'm not on the audible train.
It was an argument all week. I'm going to take a stab at the name. If you want to put it in the chat with the pronunciation, I'm going to say Mesha.
Mesha? Oh, yeah, you might be right about that. Sorry about that. What a difference it makes that the Niners got that last stop on the Cowboys, right? Because even if Brock has to have the ball in his hands again, and even if he pulled it out, it would be, oh my God, Kyle Shanahan, what the hell is going on? But instead, the Cowboys didn't gain a yard on that possession. The Niners got the ball back. How about Guerrero closing it out with long runs, two games? And this week, we could say for sure 100% he slid. He definitely slid to stay in bounds on this one.
Yeah. I see her in the chat. She said, you got it right.
Stats pronounced the name right. Yeah, I did.
Well, wait, which one? Because he said 3 different ones.
Look, I get it one way or another. Frisbee Life on Twitch says, who wants to agree with Levin? That's no fun. Shout out to the Twitch fam.
I still need to go in behind closed doors and change your password to Twitch or something. And I don't know why you can't get it to work.
You just don't like people. Our Twitch audience is the smartest Twitch audience in the world. I will just say that. Anything else on this game you want to get to? The defense, I was all set to compliment them because there was a huge stretch in this game where the Cowboys did absolutely nothing. Kyle Posey tweeted it out at one point. The Cowboys had one touchdown drive for 65 yards in the second quarter. Since then, Dallas had 5 drives for a total of 59 yards, and 4 of those were 3 and outs. I was all set to come on here and say, Sorensen's figuring it out. Nick Bosa's getting pressure. The secondary looks good. And then all of a sudden it was touchdown. And I'm puckering at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, but the defense kept them in the game in the first half. It could have been it could have been 20-3, 20-6 at halftime if it wasn't for the defense. And then on that final drive, they literally didn't allow the Cowboys to gain a single yard. So.
Mm-hmm. And they almost had an interception to end it too, because Warner dropped the first play. Joe Crowell says, we've had our angst this year, but imagine being a Seahawks or a Cowboys fan now.
I don't want to imagine nightmares. No, I won't.
The early window was not kind to the 49ers. Mike McDaniel, can you do us a favor at all and beat the freaking Cardinals, please? I mean, my God.
Can I just say, he's not getting fired, but his seat is warm. I won't say there is a small chance that he gets fired if this train wreck gets worse. But boy, the Dolphins do not look like a good coach team. It looks like he got figured out and he hasn't had an answer. Because their offense has been crap. And you can't just put that on Tua, because other teams have lost their quarterbacks, and even with their backup, they have some semblance of an offense because they have weapons. You can't just chalk it up to, Tua got hurt. The Dolphins, McDaniel's not had a good year.
People are talking about Nick Bosa. Did Nick Bosa have a MAGA hat on after the game? Is that what people are up in arms about? I mean, he took the picture with Donald Trump either this offseason or at some point earlier. Like we all saw his tweets before he was drafted. You know, when he was drafted, his old tweets resurfaced. Was there any doubt where Nick Bosa stood on any of that? I mean, I'm not.
No, but don't distract from the team. You know what I mean? Don't if you want to wear Magna in your own time, you want to wear it like in the locker room or whatever around practice, fine. But after a post-game win, you don't need to bring politics and make it about you and a politician in post-game celebrations.
I don't know.
That's my and I would have the same problem if it was a Harris hat. I don't care. Don't make a win about something else other than the team.
I don't know if it was a MAGA hat. Maybe the chat can help me out there. I saw Kyle Kami said like, oh, people are going to be talking about Nick Bosa. I don't know what it was, but we're also like a week away from a presidential election. So
yeah, tell me about it. I live in Pennsylvania.
Oh, God.
No joke. Not even exaggerating one bit. I get at least 3 pieces of mail a day that are either pro-Trump or pro-Harris. It's ridiculous. Every single day. Like we went away for a 2-week vacation. I came home and I counted, and it was more than 30 political inserts is what my mail was.
Good Lord. Andre says it's Bosa's choice. Just get the sacks. We don't care. I'm sort of on the same page there. We got a Diamador Lenore post-game comment. I don't know what this is, but you know what? I'm going to throw it up anyway because it's Diamador Lenore, and is he ever boring ever? So here's Demo.
I feel like I want to be like a snowboarder today. You know, snowboard swag.
He's wearing snowboard goggles.
Jimmy Garoppolo Rams jersey.
Wait a minute. Is that really a Garoppolo 10?
No. The person asked if that was a Garoppolo Rams jersey, and he said,
yeah, shout out to our D-line.
Is what I heard.
It was a big reason on this dub right here. You know, with them causing all the stress over Dak, I couldn't thank them enough.
You might take us through the end.
Where did the Lenore go? I can't quite place it because that looked like a Michigan jersey to me. I was Michigan blue and maize, as they called.
He went to Oregon.
Interesting.
So that was not an Oregon jersey. Kyle Posey at one point tweeted Brockopolo in the first half, and that made me laugh. I think it was after he threw behind Deebo on the 4th down play. I was like, oh, damn, that cuts deep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a high school shirt. But that's definitely not a Rams jersey. That's not the Rams blue. That's not the Rams yellow. That's got no logos anywhere on it.
Diaper says, Cards 49ers battle. Who'd have thought, Levin? Those division games down the stretch are going to be huge for the 49ers because they have the 2 losses so far. I mean, the Rams look really good now that they've got their receivers back. Niners go bye week, Tampa, Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo. Those next 4 games are going to decide a lot about how this season ends up.
Yeah, it's a rough stretch. I wish they were 5-3. I definitely wish they were 6-2. There's not any room for error. They got to win 3 out of 4.
Yep, that's the thing. They've burned through their margin for error, unfortunately. Let me throw the schedule up on the screen there. You can see it. Bucks, Seahawks, Packers. Yeah, you probably got to win 3 out of 4. Now, look, the Bucks are not going to have their starting wide receivers. You're going to be coming off a bye. You're going to be rested. McCaffrey, hopefully, will be back for that game. Seattle looks awful right now. Jordan Love got hurt today. We have no idea what his status is going to be. They don't think it's serious, but who knows? Josh Allen's really damn good. The Bears, I don't know what to think about the Bears. The Bears were on the half-yard line and gave the ball to an offensive lineman today who fumbled.
They look like a young team. That's what they look like.
Yeah, and then they lost on the Hail Mary because one of their players was taunting the crowd instead of matching up with Noah Gray, who caught the touchdown. He was messing around with the crowd while the Hail Mary was happening.
Yeah, that's why I could probably never be an NFL coach because I would make an example out of that, and I don't care how good the guy is. He'd be off my team.
Diaper says, I live in Buffalo. God, do I dare go to that game? I don't know. Are Bills fans tough to be around? I know they're passionate about their team, but do they give you a hard time if you're the road team? I don't know. Obviously, I've never been to a game in Buffalo.
So I haven't been to a game in Buffalo, but there are a lot of Buffalo fans here because Buffalo's only like 3 hours from me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're normally like they're like somebody that's been punched one too many times, and they're nice. There's no smack talk because they've been burned too many times trying to smack talk. You know what I mean? Like one of the guys at work is a Bills fan. Yeah, I've not met a Bills fan, and I've met dozens at this point where I live, and none of them have been like arrogant jerks or any of that.
Does anyone know, since we're talking about Bosa's hat, as Joe says, everyone had a lot to say about Collins' politics being a distraction. Keep that same energy about Bosa. Not quite the same situation. Bosa was wearing it in a post-game interview. Colin Kaepernick was showing it, and during the national anthem, and then talking about it after the game. I don't think those are the same thing. I don't know. If we're going to talk about something a player wore, did George Kittle wear the F Dallas T-shirt again?
I didn't see it. He scored, and he didn't do it, so.
He probably didn't want to get fined.
That's why I said it would be hilarious if he upped it and went the Ocho Cinco way, where he then pulls up a second shirt that says, "Please don't fine me," because then that just adds to his mystique and probably gets him another endorsement deal. So they'll pay for the fine.
John Lynch apparently stopped by the NBC set after the game. I haven't heard this yet, but hell, let's listen to it together. Here's John Lynch.
John, I was going to ask you, how tough is it as a general manager when you're dealing with all these injuries? You paid a guy like Javon Hargrave. You're missing Greenlaw. How tough is it on you as a general manager trying to replace these guys, trying to see, do we go out and make a trade or do we stay put? How tough is that?
It is difficult, Rodney. I mean, staying healthy is so critical in this league, and it's happened to a lot of our best players. Brandon Ayuk last week, and Christian McCaffrey. We haven't played with them yet. Those guys are game changers, and that's tough. But proud of the team. We've let a couple wins we had in our grass go, so we wish we were a little better right now. But we're still in this thing, and I know there's better football in front of us, and we just got to keep going. McCaffrey, we're hopeful to get him back here after this bye, and Dre Greenlaw hopefully in the near future. So those guys, you start getting those guys back, we'll be a better football
How cool is it to have a guy like this, man? I just get pumped up listening to this guy, man.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly super informative, but okay. I mean, they seem pretty confident about McCaffrey, less so about Greenlaw.
Yeah, the fact that we haven't heard anything about Greenlaw does not look good.
Yeah.
Put it that way. If there was any positive signs, you would hear, he's, ramping up or something out there.
Strawberry React says Greenlaw is probably not going to be back until December sometime. Could be. I mean, he got hurt in the Super Bowl, so nothing would shock me about that. But we will see. This Bosa thing in the chat is firing people up left, right, and center. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. We knew where he stood. That's his choice. He can vote for whoever he wants to vote for. I'll say this. Nick Bosa is far from the only MAGA supporter on the 49ers.
I was going to say, it's no secret which way I lean currently in this election. But if I was mad and wanted players off the team because of political reasons, I would venture a guess 3/4 of this team would probably be gone. Shocker. Rich people support Republicans.
Thrice Thighs on Twitch says, with this many fourth quarter chokes, I don't think the Niners will be able to finish important games in the playoffs. Here's the thing. They did finish this game. They finished it.
The defense finished it.
They made it closer than it needed to be. They both finished it, right? The defense made the final stop, and the Cowboys didn't gain the yard and turned it back over, and then the offense closed it out because Dallas didn't have any more timeouts. The offense got the first down they needed to close it out. It was scary. We were nervous for a while, but this counts as them closing it out. They did it.
There was one thing I was disappointed about on that Guerrero run that closed it officially. It took away any chance of seeing the Dallas Cowboys and what kind of Hail Mary they've drawn up this time. Because Zeke's back on the team. They could run it again.
Bosa commented on the hat. I will throw it up on the screen. Quote, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's an important time. That's
sure
fine.
Is.
It's an important time. He wore the hat. He wanted to show his support. I have no problem with that. It's his right to wear the hat. I don't agree with it, but it's his right to wear the hat.
Yeah.
To me, that's not I mean, we are literally like a week away from the election. He is an American citizen. Like, he has every right to support whoever he wants to support. And I'd say the same thing if somebody had a Harris hat on.
Yeah, I agree. He has the right to support whoever he wants. I just personally don't care for it in a post game. Don't make wins about something other than the team.
I don't think he would have if we weren't this close to the election, right? He hasn't worn it at any other time.
This way, would he have worn it if they lost today? I guarantee he would not have. He would not have been crashing somebody else's interview to point at the hat.
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't say. Probably not. But who the hell knows? Maybe he would have, because it's still an important time, as he said. Well, let's listen to a little Kyle after the game.
Just coming off of this, but Kyle, you're 4-4 going into the bye. Can you assess how these first 8 games have gone and what you see, coming up in the second half?
I could maybe do that for you tomorrow. I'm just thinking about this game right now, but I'm glad, you always go into a season, you expect to win them all. So you're not exactly where you want to be, but going into this game, we knew this was a big win. We didn't want to be 3-5 going into the bye week, having your backs against the wall like that. Getting that win was huge. Being 4-4, not at all the record that we wanted when we set out. But when you look at our division and everything, feeling a real good spot, and especially finishing it here with a win. Hopefully we can take some time off, rest a little bit, get a couple guys back, hopefully, and come back and string some wins together here in the second half.
He's not wrong. I mean, everything is right there with the division and all of that stuff. That is the exact attitude he should have going into this bye week.
I mean, with the way this division has gone this year, you could win the NFC West at 9-8.
Yeah, I would. It's entirely possible.
I'm guessing somebody gets to 10 or 11 wins. One of the teams click in the second half of the season, but currently, none of the teams have looked good. Put it that way. The Niners have looked about as bad as I think they can look. They're extremely talented, so it's hard to be worse. The Seahawks are not looking good. They're getting worse.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, they've been pretty much the same thing all year. They have major flaws, and sometimes they overcome them and squeak out a win, and sometimes they don't. And then the Rams are the walking wounded.
But they're getting healthier. At least the offense is getting healthier. The Cardinals lost 3 out of their first 4, and then they've won 3 out of their next 4. The Cardinals go Chicago, the Jets, then a bye, then at Seattle, at Minnesota, then Seattle again. I hate when they do that with the division games where they sandwich them around another opponent. I never liked that.
I don't like that either, but the Rams can go into their bye week probably with 2 more wins. The Bears is questionable. The Jets probably not, because the Jets are a train wreck.
That's the Cardinals roster.
Oh, sorry.
Or schedule.
Cardinals, Bears, I would say, is more of a toss-up. The Cardinals should not lose against the Jets, although their defense is their problem, and the Jets can shut down any offense.
The Rams have at Seattle next week, then Miami, then at New England, then Philly. They could easily win 2 of those games at least. So they're going to beat New England because New England stinks. And they'll probably beat Seattle too. I don't care that it's in Seattle. They're going to... We're going to hear from the Rams before this thing is all said and done, for sure.
It's funny you brought up Philly or mentioned Philly, because somebody just came in named Philly Styles into the chat and said Eagles Nation. And almost right away, somebody said, wrong chat, you rotten Eagle fan.
Hey, that's the funny outweighed the mean. So look, they played good today. The Eagles did. They looked good. They handled their business. Well, it's a long way from decided. And I know that we all would prefer the 49ers were undefeated or, had 1 loss and we're kicking the hell out of everybody. Those are special seasons. They don't come around very often. Most of the time, for most teams, this is what the year is. So buckle up, put on your big boy pants, strap in, and brace yourself, because this is what it's going to be all year. And we still got, 9 more weeks of this thing, 10 more weeks of this thing.
It's going to be interesting to see what team comes out of the bye.
Right.
If they come out looking like last year, I might be eating some crow by the end of the year. If they don't, then yeah, it's still not a Super Bowl team.
So Astro asks a good question. Can the 49ers make it to the playoffs without winning the division?
Very difficult
Yeah,
because of the NFC losses.
right. They really can't lose any more games in the NFC. That's the point that they're at right now. Because you've biffed some away, frankly. The Lions are the best in the conference right now at 6-1. Then you've got Washington at 6-2, Atlanta at 5-3. The Cardinals technically lead the NFC West because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the 49ers. Then you've got Green Bay at 6-2. See, the North is a problem because Green Bay takes up a wild card spot. Minnesota is 5-2. Now they've lost 2 in a row, so maybe they're coming back down to earth a little bit, but they're in the 6th seed right now. Philly is 5-2, and they are in the 7th seed. So the Niners have work to do. Then it's the Bears at 4-3, the Bucks at 4-4, and the Niners currently sit at 10th at 4-4 right now. So if they don't win the division, they're going to need some help.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. Put it this way, if they don't win the division, they need 10 wins minimum. And at 10 wins, I would say it's probably a toss-up of whether or not they get in or not. So they would need to somehow not win the division with 11 wins.
Win the division, find a way in by hook or by crook, and I'll take my chances with Kyle Shanahan in the playoffs up against anybody. I would not want to play Detroit. I think Detroit is really good, but in the playoffs, like Jerry Rice said earlier this week, the season starts again. So just get there, and we'll figure it out. Again, it's a week-to-week proposition.
So a good way to sum up what it's like for the 49ers this year. Bender Rodriguez on Twitch. See, I gave Twitch some love here. Said 49ers led yardage 470 to 290 and yards per play 7.3 to 4.9 and turnover margin 2-0, yet only won by 6 points. That's this team. They can't get a blowout this year. It's like they used them all up last year.
That's true. Almost every win was by multiple scores. The holding penalties in the first half just chopped their legs out from under them. They were churning the ball down the field. You get that holding penalty, it sets you back 10 yards. It just absolutely derails drives, especially because for one of them, when they were getting down there, once you go 2nd and 18, 2nd and 20, you're not running. And that was the Cowboys' biggest weakness, was the ground game. So like they really derailed things. They have to clean that up after the bye. Maybe that was a Vinovich thing. I didn't realize he was the one that was calling the game. He does love to call his holding penalties on the 49ers.
Yeah. My problem with the holding penalties is a lot of them have been Juice, Kittle, and Trent Williams.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my problem. That's indicative of my problem with the team in general this year is the leaders are not leading by example. They are being sloppy and having penalties and mistakes. And that is the example they're setting. Is the example is mistakes, so the whole team is making mistakes. That's my problem.
JJ00 does point out if Guerrero scored, they win by 13. So and that's true. Like he slid short of the goal line. So that's a fair point. See, I'm telling you, Twitch fam, smartest fans out there. There was a good Lombardi quote. He quoted Brock. Because remember that play where Brock, it looked like they faked the ball to Pearsall and it looked like he was going to do a screen, but he kept it and ran. Brock said that was a full improvisation play, that it was not drawn up for him to keep it. He's supposed to throw the screen. Instead, Brock kept it and he ran for like 13 yards. You know, there's that famous story with Lawrence Taylor and Bill Parcells where Lawrence Taylor is supposed to drop into coverage and instead he blitzes and he sacks the quarterback and Parcells yells at him. They call the same play again later in the game, and Taylor runs, and I think he forced a fumble. And then the third time, Taylor sacks the quarterback, forces a fumble, and he gets the ball back. And Parcells is like, damn it, Lawrence, we don't even have that in our playbook. And Lawrence Taylor looks at Bill Parcells and says, yeah, well, we better add it because it's pretty good. They need to add that, give Brock Purdy the option on all those plays to do that because it worked perfectly.
Yeah. I don't know that I would ever be okay with a design to run other than a QB sneak for the quarterback.
Why?
I don't care to have the quarterback running and taking licks.
He didn't take a hit on that play. He got down.
Yeah, on that play. But if you're actually running him, there will be times he gets lit up.
He's done a very good job of protecting himself when he does take off the run this year. To Brock's credit, he absolutely has, which is huge because that's, the scrambling is great, but the other part of that is you can't take those hits, and he does a great job. Sometimes he dives head first, he goes out of bounds. He to his credit, that's exactly the way it has to be done if you're going to do it.
Yeah, even when, as you mentioned, he dives forward, he's diving forward to like the spot where the guy can't just lay into him. He's not always diving forward and trying to get the most yards he can.
Yep.
Sometimes, he angles it or he gets down when he dives forward faster, you know what I mean? So that he's changing it and he's getting down before the guy can light him up. So even though he's going forward and getting an extra yard or two, he's not doing a dive trying to get 5 yards.
That's fair. The only thing that I don't know if Brock knows, when you do that, the ball gets spotted where you start your dive. So
not dive.
I'm thinking
slide.
So. When you dive head first, I think it's
not dive, it's slide.
Are you sure about that?
100%. If a quarterback slides, that is considered they are giving themselves up, and it starts at the spot that they dive. And to me, it's the Peyton Manning rule, because Peyton Manning kept doing it, and he would go into a half slide where he wouldn't actually touch his knee down, but he's sliding so defenders would not hit him, and he would get an extra couple of yards. And so they made a rule change after he famously did it in a big game against the Patriots for a first down, where he started the slide prior to the first down, but then got like 3 more yards by just kind of like stumbling his way without fully getting his knee down. And they passed a rule that when a quarterback slides, they are down where the slide starts. But if they dive, they're still a free game and it's not down.
I have to double check on that. I could be wrong. I'm willing to say I might be wrong on that.
I know you are.
Says, thoughts on Brown picking green on the Lamb touchdown? Yeah, we talked about it. It wasn't great.
Yeah, it's Brown has to avoid. Like I said, he literally ran right where you would expect green to be, covering CeeDee Lamb. The safety has to get around him. I suspect he was tunnel visioned on his target, and the guy that he had to cover and get out to the flat, and he was trying to get to the flat as fast as possible and just didn't even see green till it was too late. But you got to be better than that.
Matthew Rowley, YouTube channel member. If you want to become a YouTube channel member, by the way, it's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, you get membership badges, you get priority comment response. It's a great way to support the channel. I really do appreciate it. Matthew says it's only sliding because you can't be hit. If he dives, he's still able to be hit, so the ball's spotted from where he is touched. That sounds like it could be good. A lot of people are supporting.
There's an extra wrinkle in it too. You are not necessarily down by touch. If you dive, if they considered you gave yourself up, then you're down as soon as you land. But if you're like, it's a weird rule that is heavy on referee deciding. But like if a running back just dove and never got touched, he's likely going to get up and keep running. They'll count it. If a quarterback does it, they usually say he gave himself up to protect him, and they just down him so that nobody pounces on him.
Since we talked about Bosa's MAGA hat, and that has been very divisive and polarizing, let's just jump into the polarizing topics with both feet. After the game, according to Brad Graham, nearly every member of the 49ers staff came by to give Trey Lance a hug. Clearly loved within this organization. Maybe from the people below the offices, but we know the people in the front office feel about him because he's wearing
beginnings there.
Yeah, I think that's Jawan. Look, these guys are all human beings. They're all friends, right? Like, it didn't.
Well, they're not all friends. Let's not go that far.
Well, no, but you know what I mean. Like they have.
But he seems like a genuinely like nice person. So I don't think he's somebody that makes enemies easily.
Right.
You know
I don't
what I mean?
think any of them disliked him as a person.
Right.
Kyle
just disliked him as a quarterback.
Immediately
after drafting him.
Hey, you know what? The 4th round pick they got for him is Malik Mustafa. And how good did Malik Mustafa look tonight? He made a play in the end zone tonight where Dak throws to CeeDee Lamb, and he gets his hand in between CeeDee's hands, and he kind of disrupts the ball a little, and then he swipes again and knocks it away. Incredible play by Malik Mustafa. And then the play right after that, the next play, he forces a fumble that the Niners almost got back too. He is balling right now, and that was the 4th-round pick they got for Trey Lance.
You're not wrong, except for one part of that. It was not CeeDee Lamb that he did the double tip. It was that 6'7" backup tight end that they have. Because Collinsworth went on about how he had a 10-inch disadvantage.
I don't know if I agree with that. I'm going to say I'm right. Jake McCoy says only one team is making it out of the NFC West. The 49ers have to win the division if they want to make the playoffs. Thoughts? Yeah, we talked about this a little earlier. Clearly, it's their best shot. It's the shot that I feel like is most in their control. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, even though based on his avatar there, I don't know that he's very trustworthy. He's kind of giving me the side eye.
You always deserve the side eye from everybody. Brisbee Life says, I'm manifesting my own truth. ASDF says that you are correct in that. I can't remember. Stats says, or Philly Style says, Stats, you look like John Travolta with long hair. Here's the thing about me. Everybody always says I look like somebody else, and they're all way more successful and regarded as way better looking than me. So,
I mean, I don't know that anybody considers Woody, considering he's not real.
Well, you're the only one. You're the only one that's pushing that narrative. That
I'm not even the one that came up with it. Somebody in the comments.
I know, but you're the one that won't let it die. That's the thing.
Did you see my tweet during the game?
No. What was it?
There's a house in my neighborhood that gets like hundreds of Halloween blow-ups and stuff, and they have a Woody one, but his head didn't quite blow up, so he's sitting there looking off to the side, and I said Rob whenever Kyle decides to not go for it on 4th down.
Well, that's accurate. David Lombardi says 49ers might get an even bigger November boost than they usually do. Trent Williams told me he's as fresh as ever now following the holdout, and Christian McCaffrey might be fresher than he's ever been in November too. This is why we analyze these seasons as marathons. Okay. I mean, it's not shocking that David Lombardi's on the sunny side of the street, but that could also be true. To be fair, that could be true.
It could be true. It's the last sentence that everybody hates because it's like it's like somebody walking by and patting you on your head. It's so condescending. Like, if you just left that last sentence off, he wouldn't get nearly as much flack as he gets.
Fair.
He'd still get some, but it's the condescending, things that he throws in, those that are just like, well, I know what I'm talking about. You guys are all morons.
Right. Let's hope that the Niners have one of these late season runs in them, right? You are getting Christian McCaffrey back. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw will come back. I mean, look, we don't know what Greenlaw is going to be, but if you tell me the Niners linebackers are Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and D Winters, I'm pretty damn excited about that.
Depending on the Greenlaw.
Right. But even
I'm not expecting anything from him this year.
If
he plays, I'm not expecting good Greenlaw.
I think I would rather have a weakened Dre Greenlaw than a full Devondre Campbell.
I would rather have anything. I would rather go sign Josh Norman.
Oh God.
And have him cover people at least.
Let's not do that. Let's not say things we can't take back here. But anyway, the Niners get the win. They're 4-4. They got the bye week. Let's just celebrate and enjoy this. Think how awful you would feel if the Niners lost this game to the Cowboys, and then you had to wait all this time for them to get back and maybe win. Who knows? We're not living in that world, all right? We're living in the world where they're 500. The division is absolutely on the table. Making the playoffs in the NFC is absolutely on the table. And like I said, get in and we'll take it from there. Survive and advance. Get on the train, Levin.
It's my least favorite week of the year now.
Yeah, I might have a couple surprises during the bye week that I'm working on. Nothing has come to fruition yet, but I'm working on it. Hopefully I can come through on those things. A couple special guests possibly joining the program. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. There's almost 900 people that are still with us after an hour and 15 minutes. If this is your first time, thank you for joining. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. I promise we won't let you down. We're live every single weekday. We're live after every Niners game. We do a 5-minute news update in the morning. Comes out every weekday. press conference clips, interview clips, injury reports, everything you need to know to keep you up to date on everything happening with the Niners. I will put our coverage up against anybody else's that's doing this job. I promise you, we will earn your time. Levin, thank you. Go Niners, and let's enjoy this win.